down. Where was I? That one. Oops, sticking everywhere but where it's supposed to. Just twist that around so you can see what I'm doing. Just check it fits first. Excuse me. I seem to have got a real tickle now. Hi, Kate. Thank you. I think. Some capping stones added here. Just putting them on a bit big for now. I'll cut it off when I've sorted it better. And a few times on this model when I've realised I've done something slightly wrong and had to amend on the fly. Just sanding a rounded top onto the stone now. Or a more rounded top anyway. Good evening. I mean, good afternoon. Is it evening yet? Don't know. How are you doing, ATV girl? You had a good Sunday? Ah, are you having a good Sunday then? It's about 5 PM here, or just after, I think. Yes, it's been a fairly good day. Done a little bit of model making. Just had a bit of a chill day, to be honest. I'm trying to work out what to have for dinner now. I think it might be pizza. Although my son's just gone out to go play a bit of football first, so There's no rush. No, I didn't make the van. Sorry to shatter illusions. No, the van is something off the shelf from a specialist suppliers. Well, thank you for thinking I did. Right, this is more like a dry stone capping wall here, so I'm going to cut lots and lots of individual edge pieces. File comes in very useful for that. I'm just under 6 foot tall. I don't think I've got big hands, not in comparison to many men. That's how big that car looks on my hand. But yeah, I'm 6 foot tall. No, I'm just under 6 foot tall. I'm 5'11" 3/4. Sorry, I keep forgetting. Never quite made it to 6 foot. So there's lots of filing to do here while I'm just filing these top stones. It's a bit I missed off when I put this walling down first time. I'd also made the whole thing a little bit too tall, so I've just had to chop off the top few millimetres. Sorry. Average height, yes, I've not got huge hands. And just carry on with round here, and then I've got that to cut back off, which I'd omitted. That's too tall as well. Looks okay, but it's too tall. A little bit more. I'm just going to stop to have a drink. You can't see what I'm doing there, can you? Sorry. I haven't had as yet. Maybe as my reach gets a bit bigger I might be noticed, but no, they're all for private clients really. Would be a dream though to work for a studio. One of my friends from college is a prosthetics artist, and he's worked on Marvel films. He's done really well for himself. He still hasn't got a permanent day-to-day job. It's from working from gig to gig, but So cool. I'll move the camera in a minute so you can see what it is I've been doing. I appreciate it's not that easy from distance. There we go. And I'll just do the same on the top of that. There we go. Then I've just got this corner to chop. Let's adjust that at a later time. And now I'm going to add some in this corner. Before I carry on and paint it, I'm just going to add some steps coming down, because this is down to river level. I'm just going to do something slightly annoying. Might not be that bad. I just need to create a bit more of a rough edge there. There we go. Oops, can't see me, can you? My super nuts not clogged up. I've not opened that one yet. What have I done? I've done that wrong, haven't I? Or have I? No. I'm just not quite thinking about it right. When you're making steps, you've got to do each one slightly bigger than the previous one. It's not great having super glue overlapping, so I'll just trim that off. Excuse me again for coughing. Right, have we got enough steps? Do we need more? Perhaps a fourth one. Which way around is it? It's a good job I checked then. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, enjoy your lunch. I'm dreaming of pizza. Oh, thank you. nice old stone steps. I'm just going to carve a little bit of aging into them, and then it's going to come down from that wall. Thank you, Drennan. Yes, I've done quite a bit since yesterday. I can't remember what you saw, but I've added the foreground walling. Oops, that went pinging. And we've got some landscape at the back being added in there. I've also put a bit of walling around the garden. So I'm working on this bit of wall here tonight, and then there's a little bit of paving to go on the inside there that I'll put in, and we'll see where we get. But this is a little set of steps that leads across the road and down onto the side of the stream, which I'm just sanding in. And now I'm just going to carve a little bit of, not that you'll really see it, but I'm just going to carve a little bit of age-worn detail onto the steps to make it look like they've been trod on over the decades. Yeah, well, we all do, don't we? I think this helps me kind of escape from stresses and worries of day-to-day life. I make time basically because I'm being commissioned to make them, so I make time in the evenings and the weekends. Just try and force that in there. I want a nice tight hole anyway, but just sand a bit more off. Still a bit on the tight side. Let me just carve a little bit of the wall off from the inside. Carefully, of course. That's better now. And as I've actually done too many steps, it flows off the edge of the board, so we'll cut one of them off. Yeah, that's the trouble, isn't it? I've just sold well, it's not a vintage, but I just sold an N-gauge Japanese train pack. It was probably around 350 quid when it was new. You can't get them anymore, and I've sold it for about 200 quid less than it's worth on eBay, but never mind. But yeah, you're right, nobody knows what work went into it. It's a hard one to do. There we go. That's the steps down. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of... no, I'm not going to paint it first. I was going to say I'm just going to add a little bit of scenery there, but we're going to paint it first. Yeah, you could send me some photographs, and my email address is on my website. I don't know what I'd do with them though, to be honest, because I make everything from scratch. But I'd be certainly interested to see what you've got. Paintbrush. Yeah, I say my email address is on my bio page on my website. Sorry, my website is on my bio page, and you'll be able to find my email address there. It's lnrmodels.co.uk. You can see the scrappy edges now when I'm doing this bit. Well, I do know quite a few railway modellers. It all depends on the condition and what the era is. It's who's looking for what, isn't it? Some modellers are just looking for certain trains or locos in a certain era. Hi James, yes it certainly is. I don't know what you saw last, but a fair bit of work went onto the scenery last night, and I've done a bit this morning as well. As you can see, I'm just working on this foreground walling that leads across the road and down towards the stream. So there's another stream that runs across. I think it might even be the same one. I think it might sort of go around a bend, and anyway, there's a stream that runs along the other side of this wall. Now, you saw the review last night. Good. Yeah, I'm really happy with how the road looks now. How it goes around the, sort of up the hill, and the scenery works with it. Just twist around here. I've just altered this bit of walling here, so I'm just painting it again, going from the light stone colour it was to a darker stone colour, but I'm going to airbrush it so it goes, not airbrush, I'm going to dry brush it so it goes paler. So this is just a nice dark grey to use as the base. I really love this colour, so I'm going to have to get some more. It's running out. Oh, thank you very much. Apart from the masking tape running down the edge of the road there. So this is called a contrast paint. It's one of Citadel's sort of more contrast paint range. It kind of works somewhere between a base colour and a wash. So it settles into any of your recesses quite well. I'll just paint the other side of it. I can lean over and see. Stomach's starting to rumble now. I think it's dinner time. Alright, that's the other side of that painted. Thank you. Sorry for the cough. Right, I'm just going to use my hairdryer to dry that paint off. Then I can go on to the next stage. No, there's no lights in the end. I decided to leave it as it was. sort of cars do you like making models of? Sporty cars or sort of normal road cars? Hopefully I've inspired you into making some detailed dioramas to model them on. I like following a lot of tank modelers. Well, looks, Ethel's just flown off. I like to follow a few tank modelers who do a lot with scenery. And that has inspired me to up my game a little when it comes to creating realistic landscapes. Oh, thank you for the gift. Oh, that's nice. I bet the Land Rover looks really good. Now I'm just going to add, now it's all dry, I'm going to add some grouting into those stone walls. I'm not going to do on the one at the back because it's a bit more weathered, but I know for a fact that the foreground model wall does have visible pointing. Yes, the paint's on the tape is on the floor because I'm going to do what I'm doing here onto the other side in a minute, so I don't want to get it on the road. So there's a second reason why I painted it a dark colour to start off with, because this the grouting turns the whole thing a paler colour. About 14 or 15 years, Grace. I started when I was trying to make more realistic looking scenery for my kids' train sets, and then it kind of overtook and became my passion to make models. So I started making a lot for myself and then showing them on various forums, and people started asking me if I could make them for, make models for them as well. Yeah, the cow's having a nap. That building at the back is actually a brewery. So I think she's been partaking of the malted hops. Oops. Hopefully one day, yes, we'll get enough people interested. I mean, I do have a 2-year waiting list as it is for people who want models of their houses building, but currently it's not paying enough for a full-time wage. Well, I don't show my I don't show an awful lot of work in progress videos on TikTok. If I can remember to, I upload the clips from the live videos. The trouble is, to be on YouTube properly, as well as doing it here, you really need to be filming with 2 sets of cameras to make it easy to edit. I just don't have time to edit videos, so if I can remember, I do stick uploads of the long form videos up if anybody wants to skip through them. But there's only 1 or 2 up there at the moment, simply because I just forget to do it, or I don't have the time. But if you look up L&R models on YouTube, that's me. Same as all my handles everywhere else. There are a lot of people. I think it's the radio DJ Steve Lamack. He's into model railways. Obviously Rod Stewart is. Pete Waterman is a famous railway modeller. No, the cow's just sleeping. He's fine. She's fine. It's Ethel in front of the ice cream van you've got to worry about. Okay, now I'm going to do a bit that you can't see, because I'm just going to do the other side of this wall. Oops, I have to stand around the camera, try and do this side now, best I can. Apologies for the arm and the elbow. Oops. Right, that's the grouting done. Need to do a bit of dry brushing now with some greeny brown colour. Good evening, Gibbo. Oops, too much. Just going to mix some paint up, and apologies if I start coughing because I've started to get a really bad tickly cough now. I'm just mixing up a greeny brown colour so I can dry brush that onto the walls. We're probably about 65 hours into it now. I've actually lost count, to be honest. I keep forgetting to set a timer running. Give that back a little bit of a thank you. Giving this back wall a bit of a dry brushing. And this one's still a little bit wet, so I might just have to wait for that for a while. Yeah, I'm going to wait for that to dry in a bit better before I continue with that. But then I can come back round the other side to where I was. Oh, thank you. I take it you must have seen it as it's been previously. I'm just going to spin it around a bit. I need to work on this side here now. Oops, it's come under a little bit. That'll have to be a puddle. You can always a bit, I think. Right, what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of curbing. It comes around here. I'm going to just paint that first before I can put it in. Otherwise I'm going to end up with more paint on the road that I don't want. Yes, it's legged it. Yes, I thought I recognised you, your name. So I've built I started to build the brew house in the background there. Now I'm just adding this curbstone. Lots of practice and observing what's there in the real world is how I've got to the level I am now. Hi Maria, am I saying that right? Maria? Apologies if I mispronounced. So I'm just painting this little curbstone first. Thank you. Yes, I'm really pleased with how it's going. Having a lot of fun making it as well, which is I'll just take this off camera so I can rest it down while I paint the end. So getting enjoyment out of it is key. Right, I just want to give this a quick blast of the hairdryer to dry it off before I can continue. Yes, it's a second job. So this is a commission piece. This one's been commissioned by the owner of the inn here. So yeah, all my work's for sale or sold already because they're commissioned. Let's use this hairdryer. Yes, it is a Skylish. I didn't make that. I bought it as an accessory from one of the railway suppliers. Oh dear, the old lady's going flying off down the road. Yeah. There's all sorts of accessories you can get from Automating now, but that's an off-the-shelf piece, like the chimney pots are as well. But most of the things I try and make myself. Obviously I haven't made the ice cream down. Excuse me. Yeah, I got into it from making model railway pieces just for myself initially, and then as I started showing off my work on various forums, people started asking if I could make things for them as well. So yeah, it kind of went from there. Well, let me just twist this around so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to add some I'm going to add this piece of curbing now. I just made this out of 1mm Foamex, and it's nice and pliable. That's going to allow me to bend it round the corner. What I don't want to do is glue more than I need, otherwise it'll get all over the road. So yeah, I started sort of advertising my stuff on various forums, showing what I could make, and people started asking me to make things for them. And then I started making... Hi Ryan. I started making models for houses about 2 years ago, when I was just investigating as to whether there was a market out there for people who wanted models of their houses making. Have you been working today, Ryan? So that might just want a little bit of a dry brush. Just add some glue to this other strip. Sorry, I'm just a little bit off camera. It's hard to have everything on screen at the same time, should I say. plenty of super glue. Oh, you start at 7. Oh, unfortunate. Right, this bit of curbing peters off here, so put this bit down and then it stops. Sort of fades away and goes to roadside sort of debris. Trim that off. Oh, 7 till 7, that's a horrible shift. Hi Wendy, thank you. Right, I want to add some soil into that little verge. I make them out of a material called Foamex. It's a very, I've still got the wrong super glue, that's the one that's sealed. It's a very versatile material. It's like a PVC foam, and you can cut, scribe, do all sorts with it. But essentially that's the main material that I use. Now into there I'm just going to add some powdered grout, and that will be my soil base for the verge. I just tease it into the edge by the wall. Thank you. And then just take it off the curb. I'll give that a little while to settle in, and then I'll soak it with some alcohol and PVA. And just brush it away from the curb a little. So when that's done, I'll just stain it a darker colour to represent darker soil, and I can put some little plants in it. This is the Dipton Mill Inn in Hexham. So it's in North East England, and it's actually the owner of the pub that's seen here that's commissioned me to make it for him. This is just powdered grout. No, I've never been there. No, do like a good model shop. Thank you, Flamingo. Yeah, so it's like all my models, they're all commissioned pieces and they're people's actual buildings. This is a pub, yes. Let me just go down. You can see there. That's the front, the entrance of it. So that's the pub part of it. Then there's a function room in that building there. Then we have a beer garden with a sleeping cow. A little stream that runs through the back that needs a bit of work. And then that's the brewery that's attached to it. So yes, in reality this bit that I'm modelling here, there's just a set of steps that goes down to the river. I'm just modelling the impression of the verge at the side of the road here. And just wait for all that to settle in. Excuse me for breathing. Oh, thanks, Estelle. It is a lot of fun making it, yeah. It is a lot of fun. Sometimes when I've got heavy deadlines, it can get a little bit stressful. I'm definitely not saying yes to a Christmas present deadline again. I've had 2 years where I've been up until like 3 AM on the nights leading up to Christmas, just a model finished. That's not fun at all. But when you've got plenty of plans, or you're not working to a pre-given deadline, then yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm being distant now because I'm trying to find a glue that I've left on the table somewhere and I can't find it. That's because it's not on the table. Oh, thank you, just me. There are a few divots and potholes. That road's just a little bit better there, but I've tried to model in the roughness of the roadway going up the hill there. This model's a commission for the owner of the building, so he's probably just going to display it in the pub which he owns. I know there's a lot of comments about that. The road outside where I live is terrible. I don't think it's been resurfaced in a couple of years. A number of times my suspension is absolutely rattled. But I've tried to model this as accurately as I can to the real thing. Too much to drink, yes. Oh, thank you. Yes, I've spent a lot of time trying to get the accuracy. Just right. I don't know if you can see here, but no, you can't see here, but I'm just painting. I'm going to paint a little bit of PVA on the base of this wall here. That's because I'm going to flick some more of this grout dust at it to represent some gathered dust at the foot of the wall. Where's my tub gone? I was trying to use a little bit of excess there. I'm about 60 hours in on this now, I think. It's been a fair amount of time. I'll just spin this round so you can see what I'm doing. Right, so just here, I'm just going to flick this the grout up against the wall where I've just put some glue. And then when it's dry, I can just brush the excess away. It does a good job of being road dust as well. Let's put Ethel back up. It's actually Ethel. She's propped up against the wall. It is very different for each project, yes. I don't like to really discuss it in a live because it does depend on a lot on what the actual subject looks like, but you say this is into like about hour 65. I like to try and pay myself around £15 an hour, so you can kind of work it out from there. No, I've been modelling for about 15 years now. Excuse me. Oh, thank you. She does, especially when I hi. Yes, in the background there. Well, it's actually a photograph. It's a panoramic photograph I had made. It's actually the area behind where I live. I had it made into a back scene for the originally intention of using it on my model railway, but it's just sat in the back of my lives at the moment. Yes, I am going to make the wire bench, and there's a little glass lamp in the corner. Wire bench, white bench. I am going to make the bench. And there's a little lamp that goes in the corner as well, which I'll add. I'm just veering away from that at the moment because it's very fiddly. But I will have a good go at making that. I've had a look at a few things that I could possibly buy ready-made, but I'm going to have a go at making it myself. Won't be a working one, but it'll hopefully look realistic enough. This diorama base, it's actually insulation foam. So it's the kind of stuff that you put in between cavity walls in houses. So it's 50mm thick foam, and it's very dense, but it means you can carve into it and create landscapes and landforms. Yeah, sometimes I've put something in the wrong place, and if I've super glued it, I've pretty much got to rip it out and start again. I have done that once or twice, and there is definitely a case of if I see something that looks wrong and I know it's wrong, I will take it back out and start again. Hi, Warwick. I mean, when I've done this, I've realised that some of the walling has not been quite as it should be, so I've had to cut it down and redo it. This is just some, these are just lumps of grout, the same as the before, but they're just bigger lumps. Yeah, they're made out of a material called Foamex. It's a lightweight PVC, but they're also quite, it's also quite durable. So it's essentially a kind of plastic, but it starts off life. This has got a smidge of glue on it. It starts off life looking like this, and you can carve stonework into it. No, the person that's going to it's just something I've got on the shelf. I don't know whether to include it or not, but she's been in my dioramas a few times just to sort of pose for scale and make the photos look more interesting. There we go. That'll just obviously need to dry as well now. But when that's dry, or when it's dried off a bit, I can glue it down more permanently. Oh, no worries. I mean, it's a lot of people use this foam. You can actually glue several sheets together to create larger landforms and then cut it down. So all the hills in the background here, they're the same foam. I've just glued more pieces together. I don't know, any advice for newbies that I suggest is start simple. Really, don't dive into something complicated straight away unless you're feeling really confident. But because then you could end up being a bit jaded by not being able to get what you want straight away. So start with something simple and practice techniques. The sky dish is off the shelf. It's made by a company called Bachmann, who do model railway accessories. So you can get lots of different things like benches and other things. I have made them before out of circles of plastic, but I bought them in so I could use them multiple times instead of it. Just a time saver thing, really. It just saves me a bit of time, so I can just stick one on rather than having to make one every time. Let me just sweep that up. Right, there's a bit of I could do with gluing some more to that edge that's not quite got scenery on it. Just sprinkle some more of this debris. There we go. Now my hands are filthy. It's like being a giant, yes. Can I just pan up a little, or pan it in a little, so you don't see the edge of the board. Get a better view there. This background scenery is quite it's quite useful for diorama photographs. I'm getting a lot of sheen on it at the moment because there's a fold. But it's well, it's not for a model railway, but it is sized for 00 gauge. It's 1/76 scale. So I use a lot of generic, well not generic, but I use some accessories that are aimed at the 1/76 model railway market. 00 gauge, sorry. So this is a diorama. Thank you very much. I'm just going to nip away to wash my hands. So chat amongst yourselves for a moment. Come back in. I have to make sure the dog follows me. I'm still working on the brewery, yes. I've just done a little bit of scenery work, but there's the brewery. It needs a little bit more attention, which I'll move on to very soon. I've cut a new piece of roof for that, so I should be able to crack on with that tonight. And there's all the detailing parts to do for it. I mean, a lot of people are saying Corrie, yes. Whole basement, wow. My original plan was to build a model railway in my garage, or at least half the garage, but it's still there, but I didn't get very far with it. I think sort of customer work has taken over. Yes, you do hear a doggo. It's my dog Timmy. He just likes sitting with me when I'm working and gets stressed out if I leave the room. Right now I just need to go and get some kitchen roll. Sit back down there, Tim. Tim, come on. Come on. Also got to keep the doors closed for energy principles. Right. I'm going to add a little bit more dry brushing to that back wall now. Can you have permission to detect? Yes. The woman's just standing there. I think she's waiting for a lift. She might well be. There's the bus. What she doesn't realise is there isn't a bus stop there. So it just goes sailing right past. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, there's nothing worse than the damp, isn't it? I've had the, well, mine's in the garage and it does get cold. What have I done since the back wall? I'm not sure what... do you mean the wall up the road? I did that back wall up the road last night. So today, this morning, I've added the landscape for the back here. So it's all landscaped up there. I've added this little bit of wall here that's in the garden. And then I've added this wall that I'm working on. Yeah, I do have it's a model Os guitar. I have a guitar as well, but I haven't picked one up for ages. So yeah, I've redone the wall here. So I've been working on putting this wall in the foreground. There's a little wall in the garden, like I say. Yeah, my main objective this morning was to get the rest of the landscape in. So I've just got to, what have I just got to do? I've just got mainly the brewery on this side now as the main part to be done. Just want a slightly lighter colour now. Swipe most of it off the brush. With just a gentle flick will highlight parts of that wall. I need to do the same on the other side, of course. Not quite ready for that yet though. Just get that lump off. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, Constable Burne-Jones. Right, I'm going to now add a couple more dots of greenery onto that road dirt that's at the side there. If I can just find the right brush. Right, sorry, just had to go and answer the phone. I hope you didn't hear me because I wasn't sure whether you could or not. Right, where was I? Going to flick some bits of greenery onto that wall. So initially we're going to have some little bits of greenery on the wall itself. Well, on the road and on the wall itself, and then eventually we're going to have some plantation from the other side creeping over the top. So I'm just dabbing some spots of PVA glue with my paintbrush just to the foot of this wall. And then I get some of it's just basically green ground foam. I'm going to scatter that onto the road in front of it and then flick it at it. A little bit too much at the moment. It'll brush off. So you see, there's a collection of greenery starting to appear there. I used mainly wood glue, PVA glue, wood glue, and super glue. Super glue is very, very important for, very necessary for gluing the Foamex pieces together, because that's the only thing that will stick. There's no other glue that will do the job. Brush up the exercise. Yes, I have the whole, everywhere where there's grass is static grass. It's one of my favourite bits of scenery material. Right, I think I've done as much as I can do with that bit for now. I'm just going to move on to back onto the brewery house for a little while everything dries off a bit. The owner of the property that this is modelled after is actually commissioned me to build it, so it will be going on to him when it's done. So it's the Dipton Mill Inn in Hexham. So he's commissioned me to make a model of the inn, and the brewery behind that tunnel portal is nothing to do with it. So earlier today I cut a new piece of fruit because that one's not quite right. I'm just peeling it off the backing paper. That's what I'm just doing here. I'm going to need a ruler and my scalpel. Smaller one I'll do. Oops, slipped. Try again. Missing on something yet. Something beneath it. That's why I moved. Get a firm grip this time. Putting that one at a slight angle because it's the base. It's the bottom tile. And that's been a bit of a bevel. Use my knife there to mark off where it is. There we go. And this, it is acrylic paint I use, yes. We can just see, I don't know if you can see in this light here, but I've cut a tile pattern into the Foamex with a scalpel. Not with a scalpel, with a Cricut machine, and that's enabled me to create a nice realistic tile pattern. It's the same as I used for the roof of that building there. Not quite deep enough. trying to do now is just cut a score in so I can fold it. It won't matter so much if I actually cut through it, but what I'm just trying to do is score so it creates a roofed shape. Now this is the piece that was wrong, but it's also my template to show me how it actually fits on the roof. So I'm just going to mark off where I need to cut. Most probably. Depending on what time my son comes home. I don't know what time Dancing with Ice is on, but I'll be stopping to go and get pizza at some point. As you may have noticed, I've not gone back to take my daughter. My wife's taken her. So they're going to go out for something to eat while they're away. So the lad and I are just having pizza. It has fallen, hasn't it? She's a little bit drunk. Okay, so this is a slightly strange roof, but that's why it does that, because we've got two different roof levels. And I'm going to glue that in place now I've got it cut. Then I can paint it. Although what I really need is a piece of card in there for the angle. Okay, where was I? Gluing. I'm just trying to think at the same time. Not a great plan all the time, is it? I was wondering whether I was going to need a bracing support, but I think we can do without that. So now I'm just going to apply some adhesive in the form of a non-working tube of super glue. Let's put that away somewhere so I don't keep accidentally trying to use it. If you've bought the Foamex, it'll have a protective layer on the front of it. I don't think I've ever described that. As it comes, you've got a barcode on the back, and on the front, it's the wrong piece, that's 1mm, that doesn't have a protective layer on. Just let me find a 2. I thought it was a 1mm, sorry, 2mm. on the shiny side, there is actually a protective film. So if you peel that off, then scribe on. This is just to protect the surface, so that protective sheet will just come off. You've just got to gently tease at it. Sometimes, depends on how it's been cut, it might just have a visible seam. So I hope that helps. Hopefully, if you've started scribing through it, you'll still be able to get to what you were doing. But yeah, you need to remove the film. So you could also work on the other side. But generally speaking, if you get that particular type of foam, the surface that has the protective film on is the better surface to work with, because it just has a slightly nicer grain to it. I probably should have explained that previously, but I've done exactly the same as things do. I've glued two pieces together before and they've come straight away, and I've been thinking, well, why has it done that? Then realised I've just glued onto the film, and obviously the film doesn't react in the same way. Try and glue this in place now, and then I'll give it a paint. Hasn't quite worked. We've got a little bit of an overlap that I didn't want. Or should I say we haven't got an overlap, it's not quite in the right place. These things happen. It's one of these occasions where it's fixed straight away when perhaps you didn't want it to. And just goes to show that not everything goes right first time. And I think what I'm going to do is glue these pieces on independently. I was trying to be clever, but it's not quite worked this time. This is the tricky part. I'm just going to take this off. It's going to be hidden by a ridge tile anyway. I'm building a scale model of an inn in North East England at the moment. Oh, good evening, Ryan again. You're not quite gone to work yet then. I just checked the time. I'm going to take this off as well. I was trying to be clever by doing it in one piece, but it's actually going to be easier to fix it in two, just to make sure it's in the right place. Dip my sleeve in the super glue probably. And as I say, the end result's going to be held together with a ridge tile. So it can be seamy. being awkward. See, that first time when it was slightly wrong, it stuck first time. And now when I've got it in the right place, or trying to get it in the right place, it's not sticking. And the glue's dried before I've had a chance to get it stuck down. Upside down. I think we're a bit off square there. That's probably why it's not joining. Yeah, we're a bit off square. I've stuck my finger to the inside of it. Okay, let's go back to square one again. Like I say, sometimes it doesn't go well. I'm just going to tease that back off. I'm going to have to work on squaring off that wall because that's affecting the whole thing. I need to find a nice scrap piece now to use as a strengthener. The knife caught on my sleeve. Hi there. Oh, thank you. Nice to know I've been noticed. Ruler. What, this evening? Probably about an hour. What, this evening? Probably about an hour. Or in total, about 12 months maybe. Oh, hey Andy, thank you. Yes, I'm really enjoying it. I don't really feel comfortable talking about that on live because various reasons. But if you want to message me privately, I'll be happy to tell you. My DMs are actually open to anybody at the moment, so we don't have to be mutually following. Now just make sure that's square. That's the big issue. It's not for being awkward. It's just every project's different. Fling the bits out of the way. That's why that was not working. Got a piece stuck in here that's stopping me from going slap bang in the centre. This just goes to show that sometimes behind the scenes things aren't that neat. If I was doing the interior, I wouldn't hack around with it as much as this. I just used a scrap piece to strengthen that part of the wall earlier. I just need to push that in so it's square. House is, it can take anywhere between 50 and 100 hours. I'm on about 65 hours build time on this now, which is a little bit quicker than I usually work on something this big, but it's coming together quite nicely. Right, so that piece is just structural. It's not to do with the design of it. I just wanted to try and square that wall off, which makes it easier for me to get this roof on. You might have noticed I'm struggling with it a little bit for some reason. Someone has been cow tipping, yes. I blame Ethel. I think it's her that's done it. That's why she's looking the other way. Third time lucky now. Thank you very much, John. It could well be. Remember when I was at school, there was a band, one of the school bands was called Ethel the Aardvark Goes Quantity Surveying. It's a very bizarre name for a band, but I thought it was humorous. Yes, thank you. People like the live broadcast. It gets noticed more. I don't know why I'm struggling with this roof tonight. Just doesn't want to sit right. That is square, so it's not that's the issue. It's just not sitting right and not gluing on. Oh, thank you. Yes, it's a Celtic ring. How do I make the stone effect? I scribe directly into the Foamex that I use. So it starts off life looking like that. And this has actually been done with a machine, but I literally just use an engineer's scribe like this, and I draw the stone pieces in. It's a little bit rough and ready there. I literally draw them onto the Foamex, and then clever painting really to make it look like stone. Yes, we had these rings made especially. I've always wanted a Celtic tattoo, but I never got round to it. Hello. I'm just going to make a little brace piece for inside here to help hold this flimsy roof up. Just use a scalpel and a ruler. This is 2mm Foamex. You can get it in all kinds of thicknesses. For model shops you can get it in 1, 2 and 3mm thick. It is available in 5 and 10, but you have to get that from a wholesale plastic supplier, and you really need something like a jigsaw to cut that. It's quite tough. It's more like plywood in strength when it gets to that thickness, but it's quite hard, as you can see, but also quite soft at the same time. So it's nothing like the foam board that you might be familiar with, the paper-backed soft foam core. This is a hard, durable PVC material. Dead cow's there on purpose. She's a talking point. Blue. I really need to stand the cow up. But every time I move the board, she falls over. No, foam board isn't great. I was thinking about what you could do with that today. If I had the time, I'd test, but I think two things you could try with it to try and get it useful. You could soak it, or peel the paper layer off the front, and then soak the foam part of it in dilute PVA, and wait for it to dry hard, then try scribing it. Or you could just liberally coat the surface of the peeled back foam with something like thin plaster, and then try scribing it that way. The foam's just not, it's just too coarse to be able to properly scribe onto it. I know some wargamers have got good effects off it, but you can go on a larger scale. Yeah, this is a medium viscosity super glue. It's the only thing that will glue Foamex together properly. Things like Yoo-hoo, and obviously with PVA it'll just peel straight back off. But super glue is a good, solid first time fix. No, I haven't made Stonehenge. These are real locations. They're commission pieces, so this one's been made to order from the guy that owns the actual inn. It's an inn in northeast England. It's called the Dipton Mill Inn. Obviously the bus isn't part of it, but that's a real life location. So the inn is, he has a brewery business attached to it, this is the building that I'm making now. Yeah, I think it probably would, and it would definitely work in this technique. I'm trying to overcome the not fitting issue by sticking one side on first. I think that's part of it. Oh, hey Beth. Yes, I'm really pleased with it. I don't know if how long you've been watching, but I've made that. I've made the front wall here, and I don't know if you were on earlier when I did the landscape at the back, but that's all waiting to be grassed up now. I'm just waiting for the glue to properly dry. So I've cut the roof tiles for the brew house. So now I'm just trying to glue that back on, having failed a few times to get it in the right place. I think that method works better. I've had to pull it back into, thank you Kyle, I've had to pull it back into square by gluing one side on first then the other. That's now worked. How did I paint it? With very clever. Did you fall asleep? Oh, I was up quite late, wasn't it? There we go. Roof's on now. Oh, that part of the roof. I've just got that part of the roof to add now. And again, I think I'm going to need some kind of roof support just to enable me to get it on. And I'm going to double up the thickness of that middle part just to brace it where I've inadvertently cut it. So once I've glued this on, I'm going to give it an initial coat of paint. And while that's drying, we'll move on to another aspect of it. Oh, thank you, well done. I mean, thanks for Googling it, and thank you for the comment. Not architectural, no. I'm a graphic designer by background. I've just had a very long interest in model making. So I suppose the graphic design aspect helps me when I'm drawing things up. I just like to work transposing plans into reality. Yeah, they're all commission pieces, these. So yeah, it's been made to order. So I started off advertising my services on Twitter a couple of years ago, and I picked up a lot of interest. And it was quite some time ago actually when the guy who owns the pub contacted me and said he'd seen my work and could he commission me to make a model of the pub. So this one's been on order for nearly 2 years. 3D printing, I haven't got one myself. I would like one. They're extremely useful for little details that are far too difficult to make by hand. In terms of the usage myself, I use things like 3D printer for the chimney pots. They just create nice little details, but in terms of making the model itself, I think it's a quick cheat. I don't see the problem behind making some like affordable bits of scenery. Like I know some wargamers use 3D printed, or make and sell 3D printed houses that are already, they can just sort of mass produce because they're just generic pieces. But they're not models. They're well, I suppose they are models. They're not recreations of actual buildings, but yeah, I think it's got its place. I don't like the fact that everything can be 3D printed, but oh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? I got obsessed for a little while in watching a load of wargaming terrain makers. That's kind of my a little bit of a guilty pleasure, but I do like to spend spare time watching other model makers. No, I haven't visited this site. I've been sent lots of photographs, and I've extensively used Google Earth to research the sort of size and position of things. Certain things he hasn't furnished me with photographs of, and I've had to make judgments on. Yeah, if I had a 3D printer, I'd definitely use it for making small details, but I wouldn't do things like I wouldn't use it for making things like I just can't message them. I've been sidetracked. What's I trying to say? That I wouldn't build the house itself, but I'd use it to make little details like maybe downpipes, gutters, plant pots, chimney pots. Chimney pots are quite effective when they've been 3D printed. Like I say, I've got some there that I've used. I wouldn't be averse to using a 3D printer to make things like benches if you have wanted multiples of them. It's like I've got in reality on the photograph there's a bench, there's a little white bench on the front corner of the building around there, so I'm going to hand build that one. But there's a lot of picnic benches to put in the pub garden at the back, and I'm toying with the idea of just buying some off the shelf ones for that, just to make it easy, because there's about 6 or 7 to make if I was hand building them. Oh, thanks a lot for being on. Yeah. I've had someone make some window panes for me before, or window frames, but the resolution wasn't that great, so you couldn't print it. Well, I like to use wire. Oh, thank you, James. That's great. Thanks, Modavant. How do I make the windows? The windows are made with a Cricut. I use that to bake the window frames. So they're made of 3 separate layers that I've cut out and stuck together. So I've drawn them on the computer, then got the computer to print them out, or to cut them out. And then I've assembled them and stuck a piece of clear acrylic behind it for the glass. It's northeast England, it's in Hexham. So if you Google Dipton Mill Inn, it'll show you where it is. Looks very Yorkshire-like. Thank you. I've just realised I've stuck this strengthening piece right across, and that's not going to work. So I just need to chisel a bit of it off the back, because it goes onto the wall. Oh, thank you, Toodle Tinks. Try not to cut myself doing this, so if you're using a scalpel, please be careful. Yeah, it does look an awful lot like Yorkshire stone. It's only just over the border. Yes, it would. I'm actually in talks with somebody about making a model of the Wainwright Brewery. Sorry, not the Wainwright. What's it called now? Is it Wainwright's? It's a brewery in Wainfleet anyway. It's not Wainwright's, is it? I might be thinking of the wrong thing. But anyway, it's in Wainfleet in Lincolnshire. It's got an old windmill attached to it. That would be fun. Yes, I'm hoping that the pub owner's going to be pleased with it. He's gone a bit social media incognito over the last few days. So I've sent him loads of update pictures, but he's not seen any of them. Yes, I do make models for people. If you want to contact me directly, I'd be happy to discuss outline prices, but I'm afraid I don't usually do that live. It's not a matter of being awkward. It's a private issue with the client and I as to how much of these are, and every piece is different. So if I commented on a piece for you, it's not necessarily the same as for everyone else. I hope that makes sense. He does. I've told him about it, but I don't think he really does TikTok. I haven't yet had a client who's watched me build live. Oh, Oh, thank you for the gifts. I haven't yet had a client watch me live, but I'm still waiting for my first TikTok client. All my clients have come from either Instagram or Twitter so far. But I don't live stream on any of those other platforms. TikTok's my favourite for showing off my work. I don't know why this roof is taking me so long. It's not playing. I think it's just slightly out of true, and that's why it's playing up. Right, there we go. Materials. These Foamex sheets that I use, they're just over £1 for a sheet, so it's fairly cheap if you're quite economical with how you use it. I try not to throw pieces away when I offcuts, because they'll come in handy for other uses like making steps and things. But the plastic detailing strip can be quite expensive. I use little extruded pieces of plastic for making things like gutters and fence posts, etc. And they can be like £5 for 5 strips, so they are expensive. But you can certainly start off, you know, using budget materials, just so you've got a feel of how the materials work or how buildings come together. Sorry, I paused then to think, because I was I need to put the ridge tile on before I can paint it. Yes, I am Yorkshire. I'd love to have a go at a fantasy piece. The closest I've got is making an elven shed, which was behind me. I've lost it now. Not sure where it's gone. I'm hoping it hasn't dropped on the floor. Anyway, yeah, I only really model realistic pieces. That's just purely because of what I've been asked to do. All right, that sounds good. Somebody asked about making Stonehenge earlier. Just need to find a piece of card. Bear with me a minute. I've lost all my useful bits of card. I'm back again, sorry. Yeah. It's a nice market, is the tabletop gaming market. There's quite a lot of demand out there for it, isn't there? Right, so I do use card as well. And what I'm going to do now is make a capping tile. Just out of a nice piece of folded card. I'm going to do this by eye. I want about 4mm. This rule just run out of markings. I'll just score that initially and then cut the strip off. It does take ages to scribe a stone. No, I've never made an Emmerdale village. It's always a first time. So now I've cut that strip and scribed it down the middle. I'm just going to fold it into a V shape. Yeah, it takes absolutely ages to scribe the stone. So that's the most time intensive. So if it's a stone building, it's going to be quite expensive because of the amount of time it takes to do it. Right, now I've folded that, I'm just going to run a bead of super glue down the middle. I'm just going to smooth it in so it doesn't blob so much. It will blob a little bit, but yes, absolutely. I once used to chat to a model maker, and it's not in the model, it's in the model railway world, not in the wargame world, but it's similar. I used to chat to a railway modeller who had a millionaire client, and he just used to give him £1,000 every month just to make something for him. Those are the dream clients. You'd find a millionaire. Yes, I've seen those. Green Stuff World sell them, don't they? But they're a generic pattern, and with Wargame, it's for 28mm, isn't it? So it's a much bigger scale than what I work on. So I suppose it'd be good for things like retaining walls, but it's not my scale. But I have seen them being used. Right, so I've just put the ridge cap on there, but it still needs some detailing yet. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough to do the extension pieces. Have I ever dropped a finished piece? No, I've not dropped one yet. This is the first time for everything. I have melted a few windows when I've been a little bit over exuberant with the hairdryer. I know now never to put hairdryer anywhere near a thin plastic window. That was a nightmare because ouch, I just stabbed myself. The model was almost finished, and I was just trying to speed paint. I was using the hairdryer to dry off some tile stones. Oof, yes, I bet you were relieved with that. Yes, I was just coming to the end of it, trying to speed up some painting, and melted the windows. So I had to cut the windows out and try and get them back in again. Yes, I did manage to rescue it, but that was something I could have done without. The cat has dropped a large chunk of wood on top of one of my own models before. Not a client piece, but I'd nearly finished it. It was my fault for leaving it in the garage unattended. And he'd got in there and knocked this huge piece of oak on top of it and smashed the end gable. But I was able to glue it back together and hide the, thank you Laura, hide the issue. It's a bit of both. I do run it as a side business to my full-time job, which is completely different to this. But yes, it started off as a hobby, but it's now it is gutting. It started off as a hobby, but now I do it as a second business. I'm now going to cut some very thin strips of card. These are going to be the dividers between the tile joints. Oh yes, it was a lovely piece of, I think it's still in the garage, a lovely piece of oak, absolutely solid. And I'd just kept it because it was nice, but I shouldn't have kept it on a shelf above the model. Right, I'm now going to drag this piece of card through super glue. I could use PVA, but super glue is going to set better and quicker. He says, sticking his finger to it. The idea is that I can then just fold it over the top. And once it's stuck, trim off the excess, start again. So I don't know if you can see that. So I just drag the strip through the super glue, just space by eye. And then with the tip of the scalpel, fold it over the top of the tile, hold it in place for a few seconds, and then snip. Sometimes it doesn't want to. And you can see that close up, that's what that's doing. It'll just have a nice relief effect when I come to paint it, rather than just being flat. And I'm going to go over the whole roof doing this, or the whole ridge tile cap. Now my fingers are used to being cut to it. I definitely should have used accelerant. In fact, I was stood in the shop staring at a tin of superglue accelerant on Friday, thinking, do I actually need any? And I couldn't remember the instances when accelerant would be really useful, but this is one of them. Definitely. So I am going to get some. I'm going to remember that it's ridge tile capping that I need to use accelerant for. See, I've never really used it before. I suppose once you start using it and realise its true worth, you'll never look back. Superglue is one of those horrible things, isn't it, where if you want something to stick, it won't, and if you don't want it to stick, it will. Like I say, I could use PVA for this, but I want the instant set quality, which will enable me to paint in a little while. I am going to have to take a break soon. Yes, baby wipes are so useful in lots of instances. I'm a bit careless when it comes to super glue. I always get my fingers covered in it. It's very rare that I can get into my phone using the thumbprint. So that's a top tip for anybody watching. Get yourself some super glue accelerant. It makes this. Are you from the UK originally then, or is it Winchester? I see. Right. So where do you get your tea from then? Do you get it imported, or is there an English shop somewhere? Donny, not that far away. I can drink tea and coffee. I'm not too keen on the instant stuff though. Needs must when you're at work though. No. Huddersfield town centre's not nice either, really. It's really gone downhill. But the rural areas of Huddersfield are really nice. last had coffee on Friday. I'm going to finish the roof capping on this, and then I think I'm going to have a break. I've never been to Winchester, but I had a graphic design client in Winchester once. Yes, there's a bus outside. I'm not sure he's in the right area, because he's heading to John O'Groats from down south. Oh, is it? Hardest part about modelling, fiddly bits. It's a difficult question, that. Sometimes it's you have different tasks, different trials with different tasks sometimes. So when you might struggle with one area for one project, it's different the next time round, or in a different project. The worst with this one, yes, doorknobs and eye pupils. It could be. I think that's what Ethel's waiting for out there. With this project, the hardest part, I'm trying to think now. Probably getting the road surface right. I wasn't happy with the first time round that I made the road surface using my usual technique, so I had to start again. But I'm glad I did, because it's really worked this time. There has been a few trials and tribulations with this one. For instance, there's you can't see it from this angle, but there's an outbuilding at the back. And even though I double checked on the plan, sorry Lewis, I'm making the brewery part of the model tonight. So the outbuilding at the back is in there's two levels to it. Oh, that's not really the right explanation, but the wall's got two different lengths, and I cut it too short, built the whole thing complete with weathering, and then when I came to put it together, I was fix it onto the main model. I'll tell you in a minute, sorry. It didn't fit because I'd measured it wrong. So I had to build an extension to it. I think I've managed to hide the mistake quite nicely. This brewery building goes right at the back of the model. I just cut that one in. So it sits over here, and I can pan the camera around. Note that tunnel portal doesn't belong to it, so it sits right at the back of the model base. That terracotta looking. The brick texture is all handmade, all hand scratched into the foam. If you look on the inside, that's what the raw material looks like before I've touched it. So all the brickwork has been hand scribed with scribing tool like this. So yeah, the cow's just fallen down, so I just basically scratch into it. I'm going to go back over this, in fact. Not right now, but I'm going to go back over this and scratch out some of the mortar so it's not quite as flat, just to give it a bit of extra relief. You can see there. I'm just going to have to go around the whole thing. What with the texture, yeah, it does take quite a while to do it, but it's worth it in the end if you persevere. It's taken quite a long time to do this, but it's worth doing. lost my scalpel now. Where'd it go? Okay. Only if they ask, yeah. Yes, the bricks are the bricks are a time-consuming part. If it is actual red brick, then I can use a brick sheet for that. If it's in a regular pattern, that's quite a time saver. But for stone, yes, it is the most time-consuming aspect, but it's also quite relaxing. 80s girl. Yeah, if somebody asks for extra bits putting in as a diorama, I'll add them. But yeah, they are extras. All right, demolition diorama. I bet that was fun. The bits that I've stuck on the models are just really there to show for scale, and also give it a little bit of added interest when I'm photographing it. But you can really go to town with a demolition model. It's quite fun, just smashing things up. But I wouldn't want to spend a long time making a perfect model just to destroy it again. I do actually have a semi-detached house that I'm waiting to go and deliver to a client. It's completely different to this. But it's on a shelf behind. I can't quite access it at the moment, but there's a video of it on my bio page. In fact, no, let me get up. Oh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? Snug. This is here that I'm about to bring into view is my demo model that I made for myself some time ago. So this is same scale. Yorkshire stone house with a garage. See, that's starting to peel up there. So it's front and back. The tree's fallen down, but it's the same scale, so just a little bit taller. But I do have a semi-detached house in a different style. I can't access that at the moment because that's the. Oh, thank you. I've never made a. I'm pausing there when I say that. I've made an old farmhouse, but it wasn't a farmyard. It was a red brick farmhouse that was no longer part of the farm. But that was for a lady whose father used to be a tenant at that farm, and that was their family home when they were growing up. But he was sadly displaced as the tenant, but still had a fondness for the house, so she commissioned me to make a model of it. High Rainforest, it's the brewery, yes. Oh, I know, it's taking me forever. If you're talking about the roof capping, if you're talking about the tiles, yeah. Sorry, the stones on the other house. Alright, I bet that's going to be a really cool diorama. What's it for? Is it for a specific genre, or... I live in Britain, Jake, yes. I'm in West Yorkshire. I think we all need to go for a pint when it's done. Who's up for an en masse trip to Hexham? Alright, thanks Vladimir, yeah. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Just before Christmas I completed a model for somebody whose girlfriend is from Germany. And again, it was a family house. They no longer live there. But she had fond memories of it being the family house, and he wanted me to make a model of it. And all they had to go off were some old photo album pictures. So because they no longer lived there, they couldn't access the property anymore to send me photographs or dimensions. So I made the majority of the model was made purely from looking at Google Earth and trying to get dimensions from there, and then sending them drawings as I was going for them to approve bits that they remembered being made in a different way, perhaps. Micropints. It'd be awesome if everybody descended suddenly on the Dipton Mill Inn. So we've been watching this model being made, and we need a pint in the real thing now. Yeah, if you PM me, my messages are open even if I'm not following you. But if that doesn't work, then there's Instagram on my email address. Hey there, is it Kieran? Model of Gracelands. Do you know what? I know what it is, but I've never actually seen it. Or I can't remember seeing what it looks like. I have made a low relief model of Amityville House. You know, the Amityville Horror. Complete with light up windows. Oh, I see. Right. Seems really good. Request, sorry. And that's the end of the first building. See what this is in reality. There was original shed here. This was the original building, and they've built this part on as an extension. This used to be a greenhouse, this wooden fronted building here. But now it's don't know what it is. I think it's keg wash, something like that. Practice. I use various Citadel paints, stone coloured paints, for getting the basic colour. Then I add extra spots of grey and brown, sepia tones, and then I give it all a going over with some ready-made grout. No, the stream's still not set. I am quite happy with it, but I think what I'm going to do is when it has fully set is I'm going to go over it with some gloss varnish just to give it that extra depth. Hasn't set yet. I think partially that's due to it being so cold, but I might have over alcoholed it. So I'm just leaving that alone for a little while. Once it has set, I'm going to go and add some white water effects to it, but it hasn't set enough yet. No, I don't use... I have used lots of washes before, but there's no washes at all. I think what I was in the middle of saying is I use a ready mixed grout to go over and actually fill the mortar joints in. But that also mutes down the colour of the paint underneath, and it also gives us a uniform texture to the whole thing. White water, I'm just going to use some really thick white acrylic paint for that, and just paint in the frothy bits. But there are, like somebody else pointed out the other night, there are some off-the-shelf water solutions that you can buy specifically for scenicking. And I think in those kits they have an extra bottle of solution or something to help create the white water effect. But my plan is to just use some white acrylic and put it on really thickly. I have seen people using toilet paper to make waves and water effects, but that's not really apt for a stream setting, a babbling brook. I used to subscribe to Hornby magazine, and my favourite part of that was looking through the pictures of other people's layouts. So yeah, I have studied a lot on what other people do and have done. Yeah, I think you could do. Good evening, Shah. How's work? Oh, right, yes. You're still at work, are you? So I actually did use sort of watered down silicon to create the stream. And it has produced a decent effect, but it's still not set. Let me just push that back out of the way. Yeah, it is. It's Jake. It's called PVC. Sorry, it's called Foamex. It's a PVC foam, so it's quite hard and strong, but it's also lightweight and easy to carve and cut. Oh yeah, I've seen people do that before as well. That's really effective. I haven't put any lights in any of my models yet. I'm still waiting for somebody to ask for them. I did have one once that I did ask him, do you want lights putting in before I go too far? And he said, no thanks. And then, just as I'd finished it, he said, is it too late to ask for lights now? I said, yes, it is really. So we didn't do lights. Are you aware of a modeller called North of the Border? Makes some really good clay pieces. He uses a lot of lighting. I've seen him building like fire breathing dragons using LEDs. No, yes, it is a shame. I would have liked to have lit it, but I did experiment with putting lights in this before I'd actually sealed it into the base. And I was going to have a go at doing it, you know, even though he hadn't asked for it, but I decided not to in the end. It's got enough going on. Oh, yeah, I think definitely. There's a nice warm glow coming from a window. But, yeah, I suppose if he'd have asked for it, I would have needed to quote for more. Yeah, Christmas tree would be good, wouldn't it? I think you could string fairy lights around. That might be a nice thing to do for a festive looking model. I'm coming to the end here. Oh, I have lit models before. That demo model behind me is actually lit. It's just I don't really put them in client pieces unless they ask for it. Although saying that, I did do a model of a lighthouse. Not a lighthouse? Yes, a lighthouse. And it's been re-sited onto a more prominent piece of land now, and it's got uplights running all the way around the base. So I did that. No, it's just all hand carved in, Alex. Oh, hey Jade. Hey Natasha. You're all popping on now while I'm thinking about taking a break. So yeah, that was quite a nice one. I think there's a video of it, but I don't know. It isn't lit after all. I pulled the lights out of it to put them in something else. Maybe I'll put them back in some point. So I've actually just run out of this little strip that I made. So I just cut a couple. Well, just cut one more. I only need 2 more pieces. snuck in. Just seen you. Have you been out at... Oh, you've been out at Sunday dinner, haven't you? How was your Sunday dinner? I haven't eaten yet. Going to order a pizza in a little while. Next build. I'm not sure which one I'm going to carry on working with. I've got a few on the go that I've started. So I'll have to refer back to my schedule really to see which one I should be working on. I do have a stone house which is quite well underway. I think I'll probably finish that one. It's not anywhere near as large a project as this one is. I think the base only works out at being about A4 in reality. Oh, I really fancy a Sunday dinner now, but I also really fancy a meat feast pizza with plenty of unhealthy cheese on it. Okay, last one done. Just need to go over now with the scalpel and nick off anything that's slightly oversized. The other beauty of super glue is it makes the card rock hard as well, so there's no sogginess to it. So likewise, that ridge tile's nice and hard as opposed to being flimsy. That click you can hear when I go through the knife is because the TGI's. Oh, so you didn't have a roast. Oh well, still food though, isn't it? I'm mostly okay. Right, I'm going to have a bit of a break now. So, if you want to pop back a bit later in this evening or put an alarm on or something, then we might catch each other later. Hopefully, the little wall with the steps will have set so I can carry on just finishing that bit off. Brush off all this excess grout and set it in place. Yes, bedtime's an important thing. So yeah, put that little bit of wall in there so that bit of the scene's coming together. So hopefully I'll catch you all later, and thanks for joining me. Thanks for the likes and everything else.